The valley that stopped breathing. There is a valley in the north of Arabia where the wind moves differently than anywhere else. Slower, almost hesitant, as if it remembers something it doesn't want to repeat. The rock here is red, deep red, the color of something old and dried. And if you walk close enough to the cliffs, you notice they aren't just cliffs. They're doorways, windows, staircases cut with impossible precision into stone that should have been too hard to carve at all. This place has a name, Al-Hijr. And once, a long time ago, it had people. They called themselves Thamud, and they were not simple people. They were builders, some of the finest builders the ancient world had known. They didn't live in tents or huts like the tribes around them. They lived inside the mountains themselves, carving grand homes into solid rock, homes that would outlast their bodies, their children, their memory of themselves. They had water, they had trade routes, they had wealth. And slowly, over generations, they had convinced themselves they had earned all of it alone. It's easy to become deaf to a warning when you've never needed one before. That's the state they were in when a man named Ṣāliḥ began to speak. He wasn't an outsider. He was one of them, born of the same valley, and that's perhaps what made it harder to ignore him at first. He told them, gently at first, that the stone gods they prayed to had never once answered anyone, and that something was coming for their arrogance if they didn't turn back. Nobody panicked. A few laughed. Most just waited to see if he'd stop talking. He didn't stop. So they decided to test him. Cruelly, they thought, unanswerably. They pointed to a solid rock formation and said, "If your God is real, let a she-camel walk out of that stone, fully grown, right now." It was supposed to be the end of the conversation. It wasn't. The rock split, and out of it, slowly, unmistakably, walked a living, breathing, pregnant camel. For a while, that was enough to keep them quiet. Ṣāliḥ gave them one condition: leave her alone. Let her drink from the well on her turn, harm no one, and everyone lives. And for a time, they did leave her alone. Not out of belief, exactly, but out of the kind of fear that fades a little every day. Nothing bad happens. Now the pace shifts. There was a woman in the valley, wealthy, resentful, done waiting. She wanted the camel gone and Ṣāliḥ humiliated, so she made an offer, herself and her money, to any man willing to kill it. 9 men took the deal. Men the valley already quietly avoided, the kind everyone senses but never confronts. At dusk, they rode out together, cornered the camel by the water, and killed her. An arrow first, then a blade to finish it. Nothing happened that night. No tremor, no sign. And that silence made them reckless. The next morning, Ṣāliḥ met them in the open and told them plainly, 3 days. That's what you have left. And you'll know it's real because your own faces will tell you. Yellow first, then red, then black. 1 color a day, so that none of you can claim later you weren't warned. They went home laughing. They stopped laughing by morning. Their faces had turned yellow, pale, sickly, unmistakable. Doors got checked twice that night. By the second day, yellow deepened into red, the color of something inflamed, something about to give way. Nobody left their homes. Families sat in the dark, listening to each other's breathing through stone walls, counting hours instead of sleeping. On the 3rd morning, their faces were black. They knew, not suspected, knew that this was it. And instead of turning back even now, they spent the day arming themselves, bolting doors that had never needed bolting, as if a blade could argue with the sky. It came at night, a single cry, some say, not heard so much as felt, moving through the body the way cold moves through water. Others describe the ground itself, convulsing beneath the stone houses that had stood for generations, sound and tremor arriving together. Whichever struck first, the result was total. Every heart in that valley stopped in the same instant. The 9 men, the woman who paid them, the families who had simply stayed silent. No one was spared for merely watching. When the sound faded, there was no fire, no visible wound on the land, just a valley of homes carved with real skill into real rock. And inside them, bodies frozen mid-motion, mid-breath, as if the moment itself had stopped and simply never started again. Ṣāliḥ walked out among it afterward, alone. He spoke to them anyway. The message he'd carried, now addressed to people who could no longer answer him. The valley is still there today. The carved facades still stand in that red stone, thousands of years later, hollow and exact. It's said that centuries later, when Prophet Muhammad passed near this valley with his army on the way to Tabuk, he told his companions not to drink from its wells and not to linger there, not out of superstition, but out of respect for what the silence there was still holding. Because some silences aren't empty. They're just waiting for someone to remember what filled them last.